I'm Jamila Musayeva, an international etiquette consultant and author of etiquette books. If you would like to get my books, you can do so directly on my website. They're available for international shipment worldwide. You can check them out here. I'll link it as well in the description box below. In today's video, as you can tell from what I'm wearing and where I'm at, I'm going to be talking about Azerbaijani lunch etiquette. I've done a video on Azerbaijani breakfast etiquette, so this is the lunch edition. I often get asked by my followers on YouTube as well as on Instagram, what is my favorite cuisine? What is that I love eating? What do I eat throughout the day? What is basically my diet? And so I always respond that my favorite cuisine, as well as the majority of my diet, is Azerbaijani cuisine. I love eating homemade food that is made of Azerbaijani dishes. And on weekends, I love going out and eating in Old Town, İçeri Şehir, which is where I am today. I'm in this beautiful venue called Galadivari. It's a really nice, cozy restaurant that serves really good, fresh meals, mainly Azerbaijani cuisine. It's a great place to have your breakfast or your lunch, which is what I usually do on the weekends with my family. So here you are going to have a little lunchtime with me here in Galadivari. So I'm going to describe everything that I have in front of me, which is very typical for an Azerbaijani lunch or dinner. You always will find a table with setup called appetizers and salads before they serve the main course. It's not going to be brought out one by one, but rather laid out flat on the table to be shared with everyone. To start with, for breakfast, lunch or dinner, we always have amazing tandoor bread, which is freshly baked, and it is my favorite kind of a bread. I try to not eat a lot of it during the weekdays, but weekends I splurge, I really go for it. It has the most amazing crispy texture, so if you're ever in Baku, make sure to try tandoor bread. Next, we have a very typical Azerbaijani lunch and dinner salad, which is something we serve pretty much with anything that we eat, and that's a salad called çoban, which basically means a shepherd salad. It's a mix of cucumber, tomatoes, and a fresh combination of different kind of greens. It is dill, it is tarragon, it is a bit of cilantro, and then you can add a little bit lemon if you want to, but usually, you know, it's up to you to decide. Then we have a fresh selection of greens, herbs. So it's again tarragon, it's dill, cilantro, fresh mint, and leek. We have a selection of different kinds of pickles: cucumber pickle, bell pepper pickle, plum pickle, cherry plum pickle, dogberry pickle, eggplant, tomato, and queen's pickle. So we love having pickles because a lot of our food has a lot of meat, and so it's a really great combination to go with meat. Instead of using salt, we add some pickled fresh vegetables. And then we have some fresh vegetables here. We have tomato, cucumber, and bell pepper, and some radish. And as always, we always serve cheese for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and we have different selection of cheese. We have cow cheese, sheep cheese, and a buffalo cheese, as well as something that's called shor, which is a mixture of something between cheese and cream cheese. It's made of milk and has a lot of probiotics in it, so it's really good for your health. And to go with all of that, I'm going to have a homemade drink, which is called kompot. It's usually made of different kinds of fruits. So this one is made of fehua, which is a fruit that is found quite rarely around the world, definitely to be found in Azerbaijan, but also in Latin America and maybe some other countries. You can always double check, but you'll find them plenty in Azerbaijan. So I'm going to first serve myself some kompot. I can, have a piece of fehua in it. My kids really love eating the fruits out of this kompot. I prefer not to, so I'm going to stick to just the juice of it. It is basically water with some sugar and some flavor of the fruit. It's really refreshing, especially during the summer and springtime. So to start with my lunch, I'm going to break a little bit of tandoor bread. Oh my God, so good. I really wish you could smell it. I really wish you could have it. It's the best thing ever. So I'm going to have tandoor. I will break it with my hands and lay it flat on my plate. We don't have usually a bread plate separately because it's a casual lunch. I'm going to have a selection of different kinds of cheese, so I could tell you the flavors. This is all mine, so I can just go ahead and use my utensils to cut the things. Otherwise, I would ask for serving utensils. And I will add a little bit of shor. Next, I'm going to leave my fork, take my knife, and I'm going to apply a little bit of shor to my tandoor bread like that. It's just an appetizer I'm having before the main course. So I'm just going to use the cheese to actually make myself even more hungry, because cheese elevates appetite. For the other kinds of cheese, I'm trying to stay away from too much of tandoor bread. I'm going to cut the cheese and eat it, slice it one by one. The local cheese that we have are usually white cheese, and it's interesting that you would see in the French cuisine, in French restaurants, that cheese is usually served at the end, closer to the dessert time. So desserts and cheese would be served after the main course. In Azerbaijan, we serve cheese before the meal. Cheese is really good for digesting the food, but it's also really good for elevating the appetite, which is why I think we serve it in the beginning. So remember, I told you in the beginning that we have a selection of white cheese. So depending on the kind of a milk it's made from, the texture, the saltiness, and its flavors are very different. So if you want to go for something that is softer, kind of more plain taste, and tastes a bit like mozzarella in its texture as well as its taste, then I would go for this buffalo cheese. It's almost feels like you're eating something rubbery, if you can relate to the texture, but it's really good and that it's not too salty, and it goes well with pretty much anything that you're going to eat. So the next cheese is actually a cow cheese. It breaks into little pieces and it's more salty. It's something I would only eat if I'm eating something more plain, so it will add more saltiness to the food. And the most smelly and the most pungent and the hardest cheese of them all is this sheep cheese that we call motal. I personally really love it. If you love blue cheese, if you like camembert, if you love cheese that are smelling really strong and have really strong texture that are very hard, then you should go for this sheep cheese, which is called motal. So one thing that Azerbaijan prides itself a lot is in its organic and really fresh products. I have traveled the world, I have studied abroad, and for years and years, the things that I was craving the most from our food were our tomatoes and cucumber. I have never tasted anything better, but in Azerbaijan, the quality of our tomatoes and cucumbers are just so amazing that you can never find anything that comes close to that taste anywhere else in the world. If you're ever in Azerbaijan, make sure that you try our fresh cucumber and tomatoes. As you can tell, we serve them separately, and then we serve them in a form of a salad. So I'm going to show you our local cucumber, which is something I take a lot of pride in, because I don't find anywhere in the world anything that tastes better than this cucumber. It's really fresh. You can actually smell the cucumber, which is something I was struggling, especially when I was studying in the United States. It was very difficult to find a cucumber that would smell like a cucumber. It's very juicy. These are the ones that we usually serve for lunch and dinner, and they look perfect on the table by themselves. So we don't chop them into pieces, we just serve them like that. And you can, by the way, pick them up like that and eat it like with your hands. But the ones that we're serving for salad are usually quite longer. And so I'm going to try this so you can hear the sound of its crunchiness. Just look at this. So next I'm going to show you tomatoes, obviously one of the best, the finest quality tomatoes. These are Zira tomatoes that are found here in the Zira region. And interestingly, every region has its own tomato. The region that my father is coming from, which is called Kazakh, we have bigger tomatoes there that are amazing. They look like small watermelons, but they taste quite a bit salty and they have this umami taste about them. I love having them with my meal instead of adding salt or instead of adding any kind of additive that gives that umami taste. I have my meal with Kazakh tomatoes. This one is more sweet, I would say, but it's amazing and goes well with cheese and bread. So the way you would eat tomato is you can use fork and knife, and that's how you should do it, because otherwise the juice is going to just trickle down your hands. So the first thing I'm going to do is take off this part so I can lay them flat on my plate, and I'm going to use fork and knife, insert the fork through the tomato, and then just cut it like that. Just look at the color of the tomato, look at its texture. It's the best thing you can ever have, and the best combination is cheese, bread, and tomato. So while I was eating the tomato, it reminded me very much of a very strong childhood memory that I have of a specific thing that we prepare here in Azerbaijan, which is called durmek. It is something that my dad would prepare for me when I was a little kid, and it's something I grew up eating as an appetizer, even after the main course, as a dessert, so to speak. So I asked the restaurant to serve me some lavash, which is a flat bread that might remind you of a tortilla, but it's much thinner than that. So in Indians, it would be probably naan bread. So it's very flat like that. We would lay it flat on the plate and then maybe do it like twice so it wouldn't rip apart. Then I would slice the tomatoes, add them inside the lavash, and then depending on what kind of a cheese you like, I personally really love this cheese made from cow. It's a bit like a feta cheese in its texture. Then I'll put it and smash it or mash it like that on lavash bread. And next I'm going to add some fresh basil because I really love it. By the way, we also serve basil compote, which is also has a very beautiful purple color, and it's really refreshing, especially in the summertime. And then I'm going to add some more different kinds of herbs. So I'm going to take some dill, some cilantro, a little bit of tarragon. It has a very pungent taste, so I'll add a little bit of it. And then I'm going to hand roll it like this, making a little sandwich, or a wrap rather, not a sandwich. I'll add it here. And then I'm going to eat it all and then close it from behind as well, so it wouldn't be dripping. And then I'll eat it like that with my hands, a hand-rolled durmek that I prepared for myself. I want to show you the inside of how it looks. It's this beautiful combination of greens with tomato and cheese, and it just tastes like if you were to make a spring or summer into a dish. This is how refreshing it is. For lunch as a main course, I'm going to have the king of Azerbaijani cuisine. My very beloved dish is probably the one that I can eat every single day. And whenever people ask me what's your favorite food, I always say Azerbaijani pilaf. It's rice that is prepared, first steamed, then with oil, added with some saffron. And we usually serve it in all kinds of different ways. Every region has its own way of preparation, and every region has its own way of serving the meat together with it. The two most common ones here is one called sabzi. Sabzi is a mix of different kinds of herbs with the lamb meat, which is my favorite kind. I like anything that is savory. And then we have another option here, which is again lamb meat with fried onions, with plum and chestnuts. I personally don't like this because I don't like when meat is mixed with some sweeter condiments or sweeter fruits, but this is very typical of Azerbaijan. This is called turşu govurma. Turşu govurma is one of the beloved one at a lot of different weddings, and so is sabzi actually, but I personally prefer sabzi with pilaf, which is what I'm going to have for today's lunch. So because this is more like a buffet family style serving, I'm going to pick up my plate. I will take a few spoons of rice. I'll eat more usually, but this is just for purposes of this video tutorial. I'm going to just add 3. And then I'm going to add some sabzi, meat with herbs and fried onions. And it has a lot of butter in it, but it's amazing. And to go with this, I'm going to add some shepherd salad to really add that. It's almost like a side dish or something that you would add like a condiment, if you will. It really refreshes the whole meal. As you can tell, we eat a lot of tomatoes and cucumbers. I guess that's because we really have really good ones and it goes well with pretty much every dish. And it's also good for you. So I'm going to show you 2 ways of eating it. If I were at the wedding, I would eat it with fork and knife. So I would just collect everything at the back of the fork. A little bit of tomato and cucumber, a little bit of meat, and some rice. So if I were to have this pilaf at a restaurant, eating with at a wedding, I'd probably use fork and knife. But when it's family style eating, I'll definitely use a spoon for that, and I'll use this part of the spoon to break the lamb. It's very easy to break it because it's prepared in a very soft way. It has softened so much that I don't need a knife for that. I'll add tomato, cucumber, some rice, some meat, if I need some more tomato, and then I'll eat it just with a spoon like that. So now that I've shown you the king of Azerbaijani cuisine, the most beloved kind of a food that we eat at weddings, at all kinds of festivities and celebrations, but also at funerals, we serve pilaf. It's the most important, so to speak, dish of our country. But also the second most beloved is the one I personally really love, is Azerbaijani dolma, which is meat that is wrapped around grape leaves, and you can just eat it on its own. You can eat it with bread, and you can also add some gatih, which is an Azerbaijani yogurt that is a little bit sour, and it adds some flavors, some refreshing flavors to the meals that are made of meat. As I told you earlier, a lot of our dishes are made of meat, so always we have some kind of pickles or some kind of cheese or yogurt to go along with the food to make the digestion easier. So I'm going to serve myself some dolma. I love how it's served in a little ceramic plate in this restaurant. I think it looks really cute, and it makes the presentation look so much neater. So I'm going to add 3 dolmas. Again, this is not as I usually eat a lot, but this I'm just going to add for purposes of illustration. And then I'm going to add some gatih, again served in this really beautiful ceramic bowl that keeps it really cool, and it's stored in the fridge. So I'll add it here, add some more here. I will never directly apply it on my dolma because I like to be able to control how much gatih I have with my dolma, so I can add more if I need to. So there are 2 ways of eating it. One is with fork and knife, and again, this is something you would eat when you're eating, at a restaurant, at a wedding, and you want to look all proper. So this would be, I guess, the formal way of eating it. And now I'm going to show you the informal way of eating it, which is a very beloved way of eating food here in Azerbaijan, and that is only using my hands. I'm going to break a little bit of this really crispy, amazing tandoor bread. I'm going to first pick up dolma, and then with the bread like this, and then I'm going to just dip it a lot in the gatih, and then I'm going to eat it like that. Say if there were no gatih to go with my dolma, then the things that I like to eat with meat is pickled vegetables. I already noted before. So I'm going to have the eggplant pickle. So I'll take a little bit of dolma, so one bite piece of dolma. And then I'm going to cut the pickle. Looks like this. Very vinegary, very strong. So if you don't like vinegary taste a lot, then I would say not go for eggplant pickle. You could opt for cucumber, or you could go for tomato. They're much more gentle. But the reason I love eating pickled vegetables with my meat is because I feel like afterward there is no heaviness from the meat or the oils that we consume as part of our national cuisine. And if you're eating some pickles that are like this cherry plum, or you're eating this cherry ones, then you can just pick them with your fingers and eat it like this. Or this one. So now that I'm done eating a very nutritious, super delicious Azerbaijan traditional lunch, I would usually eat one of the 2 dishes, but for this video purposes, I showed you both. So after either plov or dolma, I'll wrap it up with a freshly brewed Azerbaijani black tea that is brewed in samovar and added with some wild thyme. It's very good for digestion. I've actually made an entire video about Azerbaijani tea ceremony. If you haven't checked out my video, make sure that you do. It's available in my playlist about Azerbaijan, where I talk about I've done different videos about our culture and traditions. And to finish it up, I'm going to have something sweet, which is not a dessert, but something much lighter. It's a jam that's made of white cherry. So I'm going to have some white cherry jam that's sweet enough, but super light. And I'm going to have my tea in armudu tea, cup. And with that, I'm going to end this video on this note. Thank you so much for watching this video until the very end. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you'd like to see more videos about etiquette and learn in depth about etiquette, you can join my true pre-recorded online courses available on my website. One is called Western Formal Dining Etiquette from A to Z, and the other is the Art of Entertaining at Home. You can also join my Patreon Etiquette Movie Club, where I talk about etiquette from different kind of movies. So far I've analyzed over 30 different movies, and by joining it now you can have access to all those movie analysis. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.